Hello YouTube. I recently bought this old computer at a local thrift store. It's an IBM Netvista 6578 and it was released in the year 2000. It's got an Intel Pentium 3 inside and this machine has currently installed 256 megabytes of RAM, which can be upgraded to a maximum of 512 megabytes of RAM with two 256 megabytes PC 133 RAMs. As you can see, it was originally delivered with Windows 98, but the previous owner have installed Windows XP Professional on it. Other than changing the battery on the motherboard, I haven't done any repairs to get it working. For some reason I couldn't get it on the internet, but I solved that by installing Windows XP Service Pack 3 on it, but unfortunately this made it even slower than it was before. A funny little side note is that this computer apparently early in its life was in the service of the Danish government. This little sticker says KMD, internal operation, whatever that means. KMD is a huge data operator which handles data for the Danish government. Alright, let's see if we can make it boot up. I'll try to access the BIOS. Alright, now I've accessed the BIOS. It's pretty unusual because the language is all in Danish. I don't think I've ever seen that before. Here we have the system overview. As you can see, it's running a Pentium 3 800 at 133 megahertz. It's got 256 megabytes of RAM installed and a 20 gigabyte hard disk. Let's try and boot it into Windows. And now Windows XP is booting. And now it tells me that support for Windows XP have expired in 2014. Well, I kind of knew that already. Windows XP only supports Explorer 8, and as this is getting very old, many websites are not displayed correctly. I have tried installing Google Chrome, but it came with an error message stating it couldn't run on this hardware. So I have installed Firefox, and it does run, but very slowly. I suppose you could do rudimentary web browsing with it, but things like playing YouTube videos is practically impossible. It's not very fast, but let's try it. Well, let's see if we can find something to play. It's a bit glitchy. And now for a little tour inside the machine. Many IBM machines use a toolless cover removal. There's a button here and one on the other side, and what you do is you press them down and you lift up the cover. I can't do that with one hand, so I'll have to come back to you in a minute. Here you can see the power supply, which also acts as a cooler for the central processing unit. It's a 155 watts power supply made in China. And under here the CPU is seated, and you can see the RAMs here, and this is the network adapter. It also uses a toolless interface. You just pull this plastic tab out and then you can remove the card, and you just put it in again and it's seated. This computer have a CD-ROM drive, and actually somebody put a DVD burner in it also. Maybe a little of a stretch for this machine. It's also have a 3.5 floppy drive. It's got 3 PCI connectors, and a funny thing is this connector sticking out of the motherboard. I don't know what that's for, but it obviously can't be used in this case because of the case. And here we have the hard disk. I can't quite see what make it is. Here we have the connectors, mouse, keyboard, mouse, and this is actually USB ports, USB 1.0. They actually look kind of funny, but as I'll show you, they are USB. And we got printer port, serial port, VGA, microphone, loudspeaker, and I don't know what this is. Maybe another serial port. I said before that the only repair that I've made was changing the battery on the motherboard. That wasn't completely true. The power button, these plastic latches were broken off, so it kept moving inside when you tried to turn it off. But I solved that quite easily by gluing it to the chassis, so now it stays on. Here you can see the inbuilt speaker. Besides from being a little bit dusty, this hardware actually seems to be in a pretty fine state. Apparently it must have been quite good quality they produced, since it's able to run still here 15 years later. And here we have the original Windows 98 sticker with serial key. Should you use that, you won't hear anything from me. Inside the casing we have a layout of the motherboard, and also instructions in how to remove the hard drive and how to install the case again. A couple of remarks in conclusion. This machine is really built like a tank. It's heavy. I've never think I've had a PC this heavy. What will I do with it? I don't know. I think it's I maybe will install Windows 98 on it again, just to see how it would run with the operating system it was designed for. I think that could be quite funny.